Hello everyone, my name is StatusFu and I'm here to bring you my second backlog video on Uncharted 3. Why I waited to play this game as long as I did, I have no idea. Don't ask. I mean, what am I, 5 years late on this game? Anyway, I love this series. I've always loved this series. The second Uncharted is one of my favorite games for the PS3. So I decided now is a better time than any to actually jump into Uncharted 3 and to finally finish this game. I made it about halfway through the first time that I played it, and then I decided, okay, this is probably a good one for me to finish because, you know, Uncharted 4 is coming out soon. I should probably get back on that wagon and finish this damn game. There were things that put me off about this game, and there were things that I really enjoyed. One of the things that I enjoyed the most about this game was it really put you right into the action from the get-go. That was also the downfall of the game, because the pacing issues got really bad at certain points in the game. The early parts of the game, you start off, you're right in the middle of the action, everything's like raring to go, you're just like, yeah, here we are, we're in the middle of all this action. You got the sewers that you're running around after you go to the area with the woman, and I can't remember her name for the life of me right now. But you're running around the sewers, you got all the shooting, which, by the way, before I continue on, the shooting in Uncharted 3 was definitely significantly worse than it was in the others. I don't know what the hell they did to it, but it definitely got worse. Now back on to the pacing. Pacing started great in the beginning. I mean, there was a lot of plot twists already going on right from the get-go, a lot of action. Then you come into other areas where it slows down a little bit to slow it down. Yeah, because that's what happens when you slow things down. And then you go from it slowing down a bit to more like fast-paced action when you get to the mansion. The mansion's falling down on you, and you're just like, holy crap, like, there is so much going on right now. And then it just dies out after a little while. Once you get to the pirate ship, and things just kind of go down from there in terms of pacing. Like, the pirate ship, to me, seemed so dragged out in how long it was. Like, it was so long. It was a lot of climbing, and then it was a lot of fighting, gunfights. Which, they had so many gunfights before the end of the game that when you finally actually get to the end of the game, there's little time to put, like, actual fights in at the end of the game. Whereas the other two games, you had so much fighting at the end of the game. There was such a sense of urgency when you're trying to finish the game, you're trying to do the last little bit of the game and continue, but there's so much else going on. This time it was just kind of survive. The only time where you really feel like things are really not in your favor is when you're dealing with the men when you're tripping balls, which is one of my pet peeves in this game. When you're tripping balls, when you first enter the final city, none of that what you see is really happening, so to say. You're seeing things as if you were high on something. Anyway, so when you're fighting these people, they kind of have like three forms, I'd like to say. So you've got the first form, which is just the normal person shooting a gun, usually. Then they have a second form where they're just a speedy version of themselves, and they're still shooting a gun. And then you go to a third version of themselves, where now they have the ability to shoot fireballs at you. The amount of frustration that came out of me in dealing with those forms was crazy. But the worst part about it is they explain that you were tripping when you first entered the city, so that's why you were seeing that. But how they actually managed to do that and it affect you, it's like, how does that actually happen? Because, I mean, you see it. Seeing is one thing, but it's actually happening to you. So it's just because you're in your own little world, so the concept of reality around you doesn't make any sense. That's what I was trying to pick up from that when everything was going on at the end. And another thing that they don't explain at all in the game is at one point, Talbot gets shot by Cutter. A few minutes later in the game, Talbot shows up in front of Cutter's face as if nothing had happened to him. Now I understand Cutter was tripping from the small dose that he got of the water from the city, which you don't find out until later on. But everybody saw Cutter shoot him, and they were not tripping. So how he managed to get away from that and just walk away unscathed blows my mind. But there was a lot of good to take away from this game. I mean, the action scenes are all crazy. There's so much action. The game is beautiful. Naughty Dog really knows how to make a very good-looking game on Sony. That's one of the major things that they've always done very well with. Ever since the first Uncharted, and all the way through Last of Us. Always beautiful games. Like, they're just continuously extremely good with making games that look amazing, first and foremost. But it's the pacing issues that made this game not one of the best in the series. 2 is still my favorite. 3 is probably on par with 1 in terms of how much I liked them. It's hard to choose if I liked 1 or 3 better. Granted, like I said, all good games, all great games. It definitely gets a huge thumbs up for me. I'm glad I finally decided to finish this game and continue on and get ready for the 4th one coming out so that I can actually play it. Nothing less than enjoyable, and I'm sure there's many people who've played it many times, gone through it countless times, but you know what? You should definitely go back and play it again, especially since if you're going to be playing the 4th when it comes out. Now's a really good time to get back and play it, because, I mean, why not? And if you haven't actually completed the Uncharted series yet, and you really were thinking about getting into it, now's also a good time to do that, because the 4th is coming out. I can't say that enough. It's a perfect time to play this game and continue on the series. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again next week.